I'm going to do a series on saddle slip because there's so many like, oh, it's because of this or because of that. You just need a shim. And there's so many reasons. So that's the bad news is there are many things to diagnose, but it's not impossible. You just have to have a thought process that you go through. So I'll start with a rider. Okay, so when I say saddle slip, I mean you're not keeping your saddle level along the longissimus muscles on either side of the spinal processes. Okay, you notice when you get off that your saddle's either twisted or tipped, or as you're riding, it's tipping. That's a whole other thing. But if it's twisting, I think we're going to hit on that today. So you can affect your horse's posture. I'm sure a lot of you probably, that's not a big surprise. So you need to first look at yourself. So if you're hiking a hip or you're tight, like I had a left QL, quadratus lumborum, that was super tight, and it, of course, it pulled my pelvis out of alignment. I experienced something that I felt on another horse years ago that had a huge left shoulder and pushed the saddle to the right, where I was fighting to find my right stirrup, and it felt like it was always longer than the other. But it was because I was hiked up here and I wasn't taking care of myself. I needed to straighten this out. For the horse, if you are crooked and you're just like putting more weight on one seat bone, or you're actually physically displacing your seat to one side because if you're hiked up in one area, you're going to do something. Everybody's different, but you're going to center yourself differently, and you might even want to center your head differently. So you might end up with like an S curve this way instead of the normal way. Okay, so you are going to affect the horse's musculature. He's going to feel some pressure. He's going to compensate. He's going to perhaps even develop some hollows on sides where he normally wouldn't. Like, let's say you have a big left shoulder and now all of a sudden the right gets hollower and hollower and hollower. That's not good. But if it's the horse, we can work on him, but we have to work on ourselves as well. Okay, so typically you get a horse with a bigger left shoulder. It's just kind of the way it is, but I think it's like 75% have that bigger left shoulder. If that left shoulder is also displaced back. So if you, like when you do your chalk up mark, And you can, so let's say that happens. Your saddle's going to tip a little bit this way, okay? So now you're putting more pressure here on the horse, but then you're probably going to lift up your seat and kind of try to move your seat up and over involuntarily to kind of make up for that loss of balance, because unless you're always shifting your saddle back, I mean, that's another thing people try. You're probably going to feel like your right stirrup is quite a bit longer than the left, and you might even lose it. You might be searching for it. It might just feel like it's longer, because it is. Because look, if this is now the center of the saddle instead of this, then that right stirrup is longer. It's lower, okay? Your horse is going to feel some compression and pinching and pressure here on the right side. So what can happen is that dip, it might not be a dip yet, but let's just say the less full, smaller shoulder side, let's say it's the right, if you keep putting that pressure on it because your saddle is doing this, you're going to end up with a wither hollow, and you're going to end up with some atrophy. Also, let's say your horse's channel is here, okay? But your saddle is drifted over. That means that the tree and the panel pressure is probably sitting right on the spine, okay? So these are why horses get really cranky about this. And I think we need to get into some of the reasons for you to explore. And I'm going to go through some saddle features that contribute to saddle slip, but I wanted to start with the most obvious, which is a crooked person or a crooked horse. And there are things we can do, and there are things we can do for a horse. Straightness training, and it's the bomb. It should be done. I mean, if you have a horse that's really asymmetrical, so you need to identify that. And I would, if I was you, get my free ebook on the top 3 reasons you're still struggling to find a saddle that fits, because I touch on a lot of that. You might find that really helpful.